In this next video, we're going to talk about how to compare decimals and fractions. So, in the previous video, we were working with only fractions. But how do you compare a decimal with a fraction? Well, to compare fractions and decimals, you first have to write them in the same form. So you either need to get them both to be fractions or both to be decimals. Personally, I think it's easier to get them both to be decimals, because you can do that right on your calculator. So to change 3/4 to a decimal, because we're comparing for number one, for example, 3, 0.7 or 7/10 with 3/4. So to change this to a decimal, I'm just going to hit 3 divided by 4 on my calculator. So I'll show you how we do that. So we're going to go to our calculate screen, 3 divided by 4. And I just hit my divide key right there. And then I'm going to hit Control, Enter. And that gives me my decimal, 0.75. So 3/4 is equal to 0.75. So this is the same as 0.75. And 0.7 is really, I can write that as 0.70. So now they're easy to compare. They both have 2 digits. It's kind of like we're comparing 70 hundredths to 75 hundredths. So this one is bigger. So since I could write 0.7, since this one's bigger, that means 0.7 is less than 0.75. But that's not actually what the question was asking. I was supposed to compare these two numbers. So that means 0.7 is less than 3/4. Since 0.75 and 3/4 are equal, there is my comparison. And just like the previous example, I could write this, if I had them flipped around, if I wrote 3/4 first instead, as long as I flipped my sign, those mean the same thing. Okay, next example, we're going to compare -6/11 and -6/10. Okay, again, I think it's easiest, in my personal opinion, to convert fractions to decimals, because you can do that right on your calculator. So I'm going to convert 6/11 to a decimal. I'm going to hit 6 divided by 11, Control, Enter. And I get this crazy decimal, 0.545. I'll round it to that, 0.5. But it's negative, so this is going to be -0.545. -6/11 is about that. So if I look at my 10ths place for both of these decimals, the 6 is bigger than the 5. So I know if these were positive decimals, 0.6 is bigger than 0.545. Because if it helps, I can add those zeros, and that's kind of like we're comparing 600 to 545. So this one's bigger. However, in negative world, everything is opposite. So the more negative you get, the more left you go on the number line, the smaller the number actually gets. So this is actually the opposite of what we want to think. So negative 0.545 is actually greater than 0.6, or negative 0.6, sorry. If these were positive, it would be flipped. And so I'll convert to my original form. This was originally -6/11. So that means -6/11 is greater than -6/10. There is my comparison. Or, hopefully you're starting to get in the hang of, if I flipped these around, I could write it as -0.6 is less than -6/11. They mean the same thing. Let's do one more comparison. I'm going to compare 2.36 with 2 and 4/13. So I've got a mixed number here. What I can do, I'm going to convert 4/13 to a decimal. The 2 is on the left side of the decimal, so that's a whole number. So is this. So really, if I convert the fractional part to a decimal, I could just tack that onto the 2. So if I type in 4/13, 4 divided by 13. Oops, I forgot to hit Control Enter. Control Enter. I get 0.307. I'll round that to 0.308. So 4/13 is about 0.308. So 2 and 4/13 is about equal to 2.308 because I took the fractional part and converted it to a decimal. And now I can easily see that, okay, I'm comparing this to, so 2.308, and I'm comparing that to 2.36. So if I look at my tenths place, they're equal, but then go over one more place value, the 6 is bigger than 0. So this one must be bigger. So I'm going to put my sign that way. So let's convert back to the original form. This was originally 2 and 4/13. So that is less than 2.36. And of course, I could write this flipped around as long as I flip my sign. And we are done.